Hello, this is Dr. Grande. Today's question is, can I analyze the case of Heidi Planck? Just a reminder, I'm not diagnosing anybody in this video, only speculating about what could be happening in a situation like this. If you enjoyed this video, please like it, subscribe to my channel, and consider supporting me on Patreon. I will put the link to Patreon in the description for this video. So first I'll go through the background of this case, then offer my analysis. In 2021, 39-year-old Heidi Planck lived in a townhouse in Mid-City, California, which is a neighborhood in central Los Angeles. She worked for a business called Camden Capital Partners, which was registered to her address in Mid-City. She was the only employee and earned $145,000 a year from the job. She had been raised in Buffalo, New York, and was reported to have mental health and substance use issues, including possible psychosis and an addiction to Adderall. Heidi had married a Beverly Hills hairstylist named Jim Wayne in 2008, but the couple divorced in 2012. They have an 11-year-old son. His name is Bond, as in James Bond. Heidi and Jim were on good terms and would see each other from time to time. Heidi's current love interest was a man named Naeem Salam, who lived in San Francisco. He worked as a VP of operations for a charity run by Facebook. On October 17, Heidi drove her silver 2017 Range Rover to Downey, California, which is 13 miles southeast of downtown Los Angeles. She had a dog with her. The dog's name was Seven, as in 007. There appears to be a James Bond theme going on here. She met with her ex-husband Jim so they could watch their son play football. Witnesses at the football game would later say that Heidi was not acting in a normal manner. She was distracted and fidgety. At halftime, she left the game abruptly. She would never be seen again. Jim repeatedly called Heidi, but was unable to get a hold of her. He sent a text message on October 18, which read, "Can you please call me back?" He sent another message on October 19 saying, "Please call or text me. I want to make sure you're okay, and I'm worried about you." On October 20, Heidi was supposed to pick up Bond at school, but never showed up. Jim reported Heidi missing, which prompted the police to visit her townhouse. The police reported the residence did not look disturbed. Heidi was not there, and neither was her dog, Seven. The police found a cell phone that she used for work and a laptop in the townhouse. Heidi's current boyfriend, Naeem, said that Heidi had sent him a text indicating she was afraid. She requested that he come down to Los Angeles on the weekend, but he told her he was too busy with work and could not make it. Heidi's SUV was equipped with a location tracking system, but it had been deactivated. She carried an Apple Watch and earbuds that also had a location finder, but those were deactivated as well. As it turns out, Heidi's dog Seven had been located just a few hours after she left the football game on October 17. Investigators wouldn't find out until later, after Heidi was missing. The dog was discovered on the 28th floor of a downtown Los Angeles apartment building. Apparently, Seven was just wandering around. Heidi had no connections to that apartment building or to the area. It was 12 miles from her townhome. It was a relatively new building protected by a substantial number of security cameras, but the management of the building did not want to cooperate with the police. Video surveillance was only turned over after the police produced a warrant. The video revealed that Heidi had been walking her dog in an alley behind the building at about 6:30 p.m., less than an hour after leaving the football game. She was wearing a sweater that had been tied around her waist earlier that day. On October 29, the police decided to visit Heidi's townhouse for a second time. When they entered, they had their guns drawn. It's not clear what they were expecting to find in her residence, but they didn't find anything new. They did, however, think that it was curious that Heidi could afford a $1.7 million townhouse and a $90,000 Range Rover on her salary of $145,000. When she divorced from Jim Wayne in 2012, she was paid a lump sum and did not receive alimony. The nature of her employment seems suspicious. What exactly did she do to earn her salary, and how did she earn additional money required for her lifestyle? On November 4, her SUV was found in the underground garage of another apartment building, which was only a few blocks from the building where her dog was found. So both her dog and her SUV were recovered, but Heidi was not found. According to her ex-husband, Heidi's mental health and substance use problems represented a prominent issue in their custody battle over their son. He said that she suffered from a full psychotic break in October of 2015. She had ransacked her son's bedroom, climbed out of his window, and then jumped over a neighbor's fence. The neighbor called the police and said that Heidi was climbing on roofs and over fences. The police arrived to find Heidi next to an electrical circuit breaker on the street. She was switching it on and off. They described her as partially clothed. Heidi was permitted to voluntarily check herself into a mental health facility, but the next day she told Jim Wayne that she wanted to leave. She said that it was a scary place and she was being molested. Heidi couldn't understand why she had a C-section scar and denied having any children. Over the next couple of years, Heidi appears to have recovered somewhat. She started working as an assistant at Camden Capital Partners in 2017. The company seemed to be made up of more than just her street address at that time, like it was a real company, or at least a company with more than just Heidi as an employee. She eventually worked her way up to financial controller. Her supervisor, Jason Sugarman, would later be indicted by the Securities and Exchange Commission for a sophisticated scheme that defrauded Native Americans out of $43 million. It involved the misappropriation of tribal bonds. Jason Sugarman was involved with a few partners, including Jason Galanis and Devin Archer. The magazine Forbes once called Jason Galanis porn's new king because he operated a billing service for pornographic websites. Devin Archer was Hunter Biden's former business partner. The two men were both convicted in connection with the scam, but at the time making this video, Jason Sugarman is still under investigation and has not been convicted. After Heidi went missing, Jim Wayne contacted Jason Sugarman. Jason said he wanted the laptop back, but offered no actual help in finding Heidi. Surveillance video captured Sugarman visiting Heidi's townhouse the day after Jim called him. He rang the doorbell, but of course got no answer. He left a bag of muffins on the step before leaving. I guess he figured that when a person's missing, they really work up an appetite. Jason Sugarman's assistant told Wayne that Jason believed Heidi had taken off with company money, and Jason wanted that laptop back because it had sensitive information. Jim had already turned the computer over to the FBI. The police won't say what their theories are about what happened to Heidi. Did she run off with money? Did something else happen? We do know that the authorities are searching landfills, which is never a good sign as far as being found alive at some point. Jim reported that the police told him that up to 5 people know what happened to Heidi. So clearly the police have some leads in this case. Now moving to my analysis. There are 3 main theories about what happened in this case. Theory number 1 is that Heidi Planck's mental health issues played the primary role in her disappearance. This theory is consistent with her past mental health episode in October of 2015 and subsequent stay at a mental health facility. Perhaps Heidi had some type of illness associated with psychosis, like bipolar disorder, and suddenly became delusional and paranoid, almost like she was having a manic episode. This would explain her anxious appearance at the football game and her unexpected departure. It could also explain why she parked her Range Rover in an underground garage of an apartment building in an area with which she was not familiar, and then left her dog in another building nearby. What this theory does not explain is why Heidi was walking her dog at the apartment building in Los Angeles. She didn't look distressed in the video. She was just a person walking a dog. Theory number 2 is that Heidi ran off with a bunch of cash from her employer or supervisor. This theory would be supported by Jim's account of a statement made by Jason Sugarman's assistant. Jason may be in a bit of trouble with the law. It's not a stretch to believe that maybe Heidi learned a few things while working for him. The idea that all of Heidi's tracking devices were shut off could also point to this theory. A killer might do the same thing. But Heidi would know how to do it quickly and would know where every tracking device was. One would think that a killer wouldn't necessarily know how to get to all of them and turn them off. What's more, people suffering from paranoia often deactivate tracking devices. The problem with this theory would be motive. Based on her lifestyle, it appears as though Heidi was already receiving more than her salary. Also, how did she manage to disappear, and why hasn't Jason Sugarman reported the missing money to the police? One possibility would be that the money Heidi allegedly took did not belong to Jason, like she had taken money that he had liberated from someone else. Theory number 3 is that Heidi met with foul play. She was murdered. This theory is supported by the actions of the police. Clearly, they believe that she was murdered, or they wouldn't be looking for her in a landfill. It's not like they thought that she was just hanging out there for fun. Landfills have notoriously poor performance as vacation or recreational destinations. I think that the police have a good idea of what happened to Heidi, but it seems clear they have not found her body. So maybe they sort of know who might be responsible, but they really want to find her body first before trying to press charges. Working against this theory would be the location of Heidi's dog, Seven. If somebody abducted or murdered Heidi, why did they take the dog to the 28th floor of an apartment building? Maybe Heidi was taken from the 28th floor, which should really narrow down the list of potential suspects. I guess it's also important to remember that one should not underestimate the capabilities of a dog named 007, like maybe the dog found its way to the 28th floor using some type of gadgets or being clever, like it's a secret agent dog. When looking at all the evidence, what do I think happened? Heidi certainly had a curious lifestyle and associated with people who have committed serious crimes. I think that theory number 3, the homicide theory, is the most likely. Then I would go with theory number 1, the mental health explanation, and finally theory number 2, she started a new life. It may have been kind of a combination of the homicide and mental health theories, in that Heidi put herself in a vulnerable position or responded to a potential threat in a way that only placed her in more jeopardy. Like she was afraid of something and she overreacted. It's also not hard to imagine that maybe she could have been manipulated by a killer. Again, the mental health symptoms may have left her in a vulnerable position. What lessons can we learn in this case? At the time making this video, we don't know for sure what happened, but assuming this was a homicide and somehow tied in with Heidi's source of income, I think a lesson that could be learned here is that multi-million-dollar fraud can be a dangerous enterprise. Sometimes when a job seems too good to be true, that's because it is. Those are my thoughts on the case of Heidi Planck. Please put any opinions and thoughts in the comment section. They always generate an interesting dialogue. As always, I hope you found this analysis to be as intriguing as a secret agent dog. Thanks for watching.